in the middle. No, as long, to me, the final piece is what I am concerned about. How does the final piece look? If you've done a good job, I don't care if you did it with a hacksaw. I mean, of course, wood carving is about wood carving, folks, but I'm just saying a lot of people choose to go different ways to carve if they want to, and that's fine. I use a knife mostly, as you can see. A lot of people say, oh, well, I use a gouge. Well, fine. That's good. But I've actually had people that been out of shape because you didn't carve it exactly like they carved it. So that's unnecessary. We don't need all that. Everybody is different, and everybody does things different, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Okay, now what I want to do is I get this down here. I'm going to go ahead and let me just bring this down a little bit more, because I'm going to start just bring the arms down and not the hands. I want the hands to kind of stick out a little bit. See how I got in between that with a knife? Now I could have used a gouge. But I didn't. I used the knife. But that don't mean, there we go. I also need to learn how to speak English. That doesn't mean that you have to use a knife. But I prefer to. And the reason I prefer to do it with a knife, as in my teaching as well, is because some people can't afford a whole lot of tools, and I'm trying to teach them how to do it where they don't have to spend a whole lot of money with tools. Okay, now first of all, what I want to do is go ahead and draw my hands here and my hands here, and I want to go ahead and get them away because I'm going to bring my and we just come like that, come across here like that, and then we come from the inside, and we remove that part there. Okay, and we can do the same thing over here. In fact, as I've told you many times, I love to go to a wood carving show and see the different ways and the different things that people carve. If we all carve the same thing, it sure would be boring. It would be. So I'm going to carve a little different than someone else, and they're going to carve a little different than me. Now it's going to be a little bit harder to get in between here with, and I need to bring this down just a little bit too. I need to bring this all down just a little bit, because these arms are too thick. Now they're almost getting there. Okay. But we're just different. We're all different. Thank God we are. And one thing for sure, if you use a knife to do everything, it does take a little bit longer, and it does wear on your hands a little bit longer. A little bit, a little bit more. But I don't mind that. If you have a good sharp knife, I don't mind it at all. All right, now look. And we're going to take the hand and we're going to okay. But I just enjoy holding the figure and doing it like that. When I first started doing videos, a lot of people were very critical of me because I didn't charge money to make people pay for it. But that wasn't why I started it. I started it on the purpose that a lot of people didn't have the money to take lessons and do things like that. And I knew there was just a lot of people wanting to learn how to carve for fun. They weren't going to be professional carvers like myself. They just wanted to do it for fun. So they didn't have the money to do it. So why not? You know, we had this wonderful YouTube that provided a source to help people. And that's what I'm trying to say. There are a lot of things that we can do for people that we don't necessarily have to give them money over. Everything is based upon money. And I know money, you have to have money to live. But not everything in life is based upon money, okay? Okay. Just keep removing. I learned to carve without spending a lot of money, so. And that's been a great joy to my life. Actually, the things that have cost me so much money in life, I've lost most of them. And there was a time where I had severe hand problems, and I couldn't carve for a while, and that was really a tough time there. So giving people money and giving, that doesn't always solve the problem of our lives. Okay. Now, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do this, get this taken out. I'm just sort of getting the arms themselves, not so much the hands as I am the arms, thinning them up a lot. My dad did a lot of things for me in life that didn't cost a lot of money, that were very important to me. He taught me a lot of skills that didn't cost a whole lot. So I'm just saying, like I said, I remember the first time I carved a figure, and I finished it, even though it wasn't that great, and I was just so proud of it. That was important to me, and I know it has. If you've ever been a carver, it was important to you too. Okay. By the way, this was, I've got to tell you, this was 1.5 inches. This figure when I cut it out. And and I met a lot of people in life who didn't have hardly anything, and they had a lot of skills though, and they were very happy people. They really were. My son works as a prison guard in Kentucky. And he told me something one time that it just kind of rang to me. When he first became a prison guard, he wasn't making much money, and I was helping him, sort of give him a little financially and stuff like that to help him. And one day he just told me, he said, "Dan, I'll tell you something. Every time you sent me that check and I saw that check, I didn't like it." Because he said it made me feel that I could not provide for my family. And he said, now that I can, I feel so much better. It's just, so there's a lot of things, my son, I didn't realize it at the time, I was just trying to help, and he understood that, but that he kind of felt, well, I can't provide for my family, and that's something I told him, see? So so sometimes just giving somebody something doesn't always solve the problem. He says he feels so much better now that he's able to provide for his family and is worked up and that. And I'm proud of him for that. I really am. Okay. Now, as we look at our piece, we see that okay. All right. Now she's looking good. And let me cut a little bit more off in here. Still a little bit. And cut a little bit more off in here. As the arm begins to, I recently saw a documentary the other day about people who have won the lottery. And I wouldn't mind winning. I'm not saying winning the lottery is a bad thing, because I'd like to win that. The lottery would be a great thing to win. But that most of those people that won the lottery are broke today because they didn't know how to handle the money. And because they didn't know how to handle the money, they spent it all and they went broke. So sometimes just getting something doesn't help you to if you don't know how to handle money and you make there was a documentary about football players and sportsmen called Broke, and if you ever have a chance to see it, please do. And it's about these football players who made millions and millions of dollars, but they're broke today because they just wasted the money. They didn't know how to invest it. They didn't know how to save it. They didn't know how to. And one of the things one of them said was, I just wish my dad or someone would have taught me how to save money or to use money wisely. So he made a lot of money, but he spent it all. It was sad. It was a sad documentary. It really was. Interesting though. It really is. And that lottery one was interesting about people that won. I'm talking about $10 million, $15 million, and they've gone broke because they didn't know how to handle the money. No one ever taught them. They learned. Interesting. Okay. All right. Here he is. We're watching him. Okay. He just now we're going to get our head down a little bit. In other words, I'll tell you what I can do. Let me get my gouge here. Not the small gouge. I want the large gouge. Let me find it here. Here we go. I can get the gouge here. I gotta kind of come in between here. Take that wood out of there. There we go. That wood taken out of there. And now this is going to be the little tricky part in here. Is what we want to do is we want to come in here. Now, first of all, we have to look at, take your hands and you're going to be holding something and look where your thumbs are, okay? You got to look where your thumbs are. So this hand over here, if you're going, this hand over here, the thumb is over in this area, okay? And over here, the thumb is back over here. Okay? Well, and actually the thumb is, excuse me, I'm sorry. If you're holding it like that, the thumb's going to be back over here. So if your thumb, when you're holding something like that, your thumb's going to be like this. So, okay. It's going to be on both sides. So, that's not the... Because now, what we want to do is we want to cut into this here like that. Okay? Because the and we want to cut into here like that. But we want to be very careful because this area is very... Now, we can do that also with a V-tool. We can actually take it and we can come up here with that V-tool like that. See? There. Putting my hand in here. And we're making the area that the little card or the little sign will fit through. Same thing like this. Now we can cut it also. And you take your knife and you be careful, not putting a lot of pressure on it. You cut that out like that, in other words. Okay? I'm going to come a little bit, make it a little bit deeper. And make it a little bit deeper, just like that. But take your knife and be very careful, okay? And be very, very careful. Because this area here is very, very okay, see that? We want to come down here. We want to do the same thing. And actually cuts that. It's kind of hard reaching in there like that, but it's not as hard as you I mean, it's just you have to be careful. That's all. Just be careful. Don't get too rambunctious. Don't get crazy. And all you're doing is taking small slivers off of the piece, so that your little sign and stuff can fit in there. And then take my V-tool and come up here like this, the way the hand is on both sides. I tell you what, my video is probably running out by now, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go now, and we'll continue with this. Okay.